What is going on YouTube? Chronos here and welcome back to the PSO2 video. So today's video I just wanted to go over my loadout with you guys really quick. Those of you who watch over on the Twitch channel have a little bit of an advantage. I usually have a loadout set up, which I will be updating tonight. Actually, I'll have some stuff sent over to Annabelle. If you guys follow Twitch, you guys know who that is. Sending over some stuff to him. He's going to go ahead and take care of updating our loadout page, and then that will be updated on the Twitch channel. But for those of you guys who don't follow the Twitch channel, we're going to talk about it today over on YouTube, see kind of what I use and talk about why I use it and what benefits it has for me. So I'm gonna bring this back over again. Why does that? I have the option to move that. That's weird. I thought I would lock it in place. Anyway, so just start things out. I'm gonna go over each of my weapon choices and why I made them with the augments, so on and so forth. So I've always said, no matter what class you're going with, you choose your weapon, then you choose the class to support your weapon, then you choose subclass to support your main class. Even if the weapon you like isn't the most optimal weapon to use in the class itself, I always say go for the first upgrade on it, put the most into it, because that's where you're going to have the most fun with the actual class itself overall. Just don't skip out on using the other weapons as well to support your playstyle overall. And that's exactly what I did with my weapon choices. So my first upgrade was my Rivalate Soaring Blades. I know it's not Etoile's best weapon, however, I love Soaring Blades. They still have a place and they still are fairly powerful, and it's the weapon I played the most and had the most experience with. It's my fallback whenever I am fighting something I don't really understand completely. So really good weapon for me to use, and I tend to use it quite a bit. I did go kind of, big dick affix on this specific weapon itself, just because it's the weapon I was using the most. That was my first upgrade. We went with an 8 slot. This is during a boost week. At the current time this video is going to go live, there is a boost week going on. It's going to go on for about 2 weeks. So you could make, an 8 slot Rivalate if you really wanted to. Totally up to you. I burned my Mark Receptor on this because, to be perfectly honest, I'm not going to be using Mark Receptor for anything else in the future, really. Crass weapons aren't going to be using my Mark Receptor. I might use it on like my Crass double saber, maybe, but I have another Mark Receptor saved for that just in case I decide to. So either way, at the time, I only had one Mark Receptor. I was going to use it anyway. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use it on my Rivalate Soaring Blades. I plan on farming Divide and doing solos, so I do want to make sure I have access to having a very powerful weapon. Here's where I did make a mistake. I did go with Phrase Decay. At the time, I was like, yeah, 5% damage is still really strong in group settings. But in reality, as much as I solo, I should have gone something like Phrase Weak, or maybe something else, maybe gone something along the lines of a Doom Breakthrough or something like that instead. If I were to redo this, I would switch out my Phrase Decay personally for something else. But if you're, say, like a Phantom or a Hunter, or even a hero with a proper SSA setup, where you can get your Talus to set up Gelin for you and then have your sword have Phrase Decay on it, it's still very powerful in those situations. And it's not that bad. It's a dead slot whenever I'm soloing. So I'd like it to be something else, and I do a lot of soloing. Other than that, pretty standard. Astral Soul, Might 6, Grand Might, Mana Reverie, which is very easy actually. Mana Reverie is surprisingly easy to put on weapons because profound weapons are Reverie Catalysts SAF and Reverie Catalysts, or 4 Reverie Catalysts plus an Omega Memoria, which drops from Omega Luther. Granted, it's a bit more expensive now because less people are running it, but it drops from Omega Luther, so it's fairly useful. It's fairly easy to get a hold of, though they are going to start to run out, so I'd be careful about that. Either way, fairly inexpensive. That plus those gets you Mana Reverie, and basically you can just end up putting the Reverie Catalysts on each of your SAFs, because Astral Soul was an SAF, Might 5 is an S, or Might 6 is an SAF, and Phrase Decay was an SAF. So that's 1, 2, 3 right there. That's 3 SAFs right there. All I would do was slap my Reverie Catalyst on each of those, have one extra weapon with Reverie Catalyst on it, and then have my Mana Reverie, and I'm good to go. Then I can pick up all these things and more. And of course, Grand Might is a capsule. It's a cap. You just use the cap itself. Not a big deal there. And Mark Courage, because I use my Mark Receptor. I just tossed the Mark Receptor on the main weapon itself, and then my last weapon that I had access to had my Mark that I was transferring over. So my main weapon had a Reverie Catalyst, the Mark Receptor, and then of course these two. And then I had my other SAFs, which had Astral Soul. I had my Might SAF. I had my Phrase Decay SAF, and I put all of those. And then I just had an extra weapon that had, or one of them was Omega Memoria, and the other one was my my Mark Courage weapon. So pretty simple there. Comes out with a really, 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 really nice affix. But again, I would swap this out personally. But to each his own. Totally up to what you want to go with. Moving forward, where this is going to be much faster because a lot of these are the same thing. If you notice, it's a lot of the same stuff. Also, redux potentials, because redux potentials are out and they're very strong. So moving on, we have my Revelate Double Saber. Double Saber is actually a better weapon than dual blades for a lot of fights, unless the target's super hyper aggressive and likes to move around a lot. Double Saber tends to be the better weapon overall. And as a weapon, I actually have surprisingly had a lot of fun with. I only went 6 slot because I wasn't going to go super hardcore. I made this off of a boost week, and I didn't want to spend too much money on it. So 6 slot Astral Soul, Might, Mana Reverie, again, very easy to do, and then Graceful Might, because Grace caps are very inexpensive. At their most, they were like 6 mil. Now they're down to like 4 because of boost week and the support scratch. So very easy. Comes out with 180, 55, and 14. Very strong, and again, redux potential. Just so you guys are aware, my S4s are just placeholders. These are going to be Rising Pursuit. So when I can get a hold of them, they're called Escalating Pursuit on global, but when I can get a hold of Escalating Pursuit, I'm going to put that in the S4 slot. Same thing with the wand. It literally has the exact same stuff. Steadfast Harpoon S5, and then Photon 5 Adaptation is its slot, its placeholder, and then same thing everything else. Keep in mind that Skillful Adept will, though you don't get the healing from this, it's the only S5 on Double Saber that actually works, and that's worth it, because of just the 2% increased potency, and then the increased crit rate is actually kind of nice. We don't really need the increased crit rate, it's just the potency increased by 2% that you're really using. Everything else is kind of whatever. Which feels kind of bad. I kind of wish there was a better S5, but do what you can. I'm sure there's other ones you can use. Like there's one that doubles all of your affixes. I probably would use that instead in this place, over just a 2% increase. But it's something that you just take what you have access to. This is pretty much the only choice that you would have for most Double Saber choices. If you're playing anything but Etoile or sub Etoile, this is actually really nice. I have my Ophicia Buster. My Ophicia Buster is my PP battery. Right now, Etoile is the only class in the entire game that really needs one. Hero TMGs has a reload, or can make reload TMGs, and every other class in the entire game has a Genin. If you plan on playing Luster, you'll need one of these for your PP battery, because Luster also doesn't have access to a Genin, though they have, pretty decent PP economy. So having this in the back, though, is not a bad idea. Basically, the way this works is Luminous Adaptation 1 and 2, or S1 and S2. Give me 80% PP recovery and 100% PP recovery. My weapon is holstered, respectively. It is halted by 100% whenever I pull my weapon out. Stack that with Luminous Grace 2 for 20% more PP recovery speed, and then phrase recovery for another 5%. The Ophicia Buster's potential also has a hidden 10% multiplier for its PP recovery as well, and all of those just stacked together give me a really good PP recovery. And of course, I have just more PP first off for the fact that percentage-based PP recovery. And then second off, because it's having more PP and then having PP recovery just means whenever I switch to any of my other weapons that have less PP, I will always be maxed. So very nice. Frost Petal. So this one is actually one that probably is going to get swapped out. I made this when I was doing a bunch of Omega Luther. So Etoile cannot cast any techs. And sometimes I end up in 4-man groups where I'm not able, or we don't have anyone to cast techs. And if you know anything about Omega Luther, you'll know that poisoning him opens his clock. So what I did was made a Frost Petals for those moments that I don't have anyone else with me, or if I'm doing a pug, I don't trust the pug to open up the clock quick enough or at the right time. Sometimes they really just don't. Its potential increases our status ailment rate. And then of course I have poison on here. The poison doesn't really matter. It just needs to be inflicted. The damage isn't really that important. So increased damage, all that stuff's not really that important. And increased poison doesn't give you more chance to proc it. So it's just one of those things that's nice. Double Sabers aren't, to be honest, Etoile's not really great at applying statuses, but like Double Sabers is the best weapon it has for it, even though it's not that great. You can just use Saber Destruction, full PA to get a bunch of hits off. So, and then of course extra PP to just spam. So, and of course we have our Umber Came. If you don't really know what this does, essentially it's just increased rare drop rates plus Lucky Charm. It's just for smashing open crystals. Very nice. Let's go over what we have in our inventory as well. This I really don't hold on to anymore. You could still use it in theory as a PP battery to recover your PP back, but I don't really use it that often. I don't really plan to either, so I'm just going to toss this in premium storage and figure out what to do with that later. So outside of that, I have my Nyoibo. Nyoibo increases your drop rate with increases the rate of items that drop with augments. And you basically just end up getting more augments overall with Nyoibo. You do need to actually have the weapon in your inventory and complete Zig's client order, which you just show them the weapon for it to proc. Without it, you'll have to be using the weapon, for the potential to work. So, and that is per character. So make sure that if you are going to have this on multiple characters, you complete Zig's Client order each single time. And the last weapon on my list is Blood Trainer. So this is actually a weapon I'm using just for leveling purposes. I would not recommend using this in party play whatsoever. It's basically just for bonus keys. I have it set up with wind. And the cool thing about this weapon itself is the Blood series weapons are all class weapons, meaning any class can use them. And what it does is each of the weapons have a special potential or a special PA that they're able to use. In this case, we're able to use Slide Burst. Slide Burst type 0, you're able to just hold and spam, and that mixed with Lucent Domain 2 makes it so I can go into a key, just press and hold Slide Burst type 0, and it mows down everything in front of me ridiculously quickly, and I have infinite PP because things die fast enough and I don't use enough PP for it to drain. So it's actually insanely good for keys. I plan on doing an entire video where I show this off and how easy it is. I was blowing through blowing through gold keys in nearly less than a minute. So it was really, really nice for that. And yes, you can use a launcher if you want to do that instead. The launcher does have divine launcher on it and crafted. It hits really a huge, large area itself. But in some cases, it does fall off and you end up having to normal attack occasionally. With the Blood Trainer, I literally never had to stop attacking. Just press and held the button the entire time. Super easy, super effective, and crazy fast. In some cases, faster than my launcher run. So to each is their own. You can go for a launcher if you'd like to. I had much, much better experience with a rifle. Grand Spirit, of course, for spamming. Not that I actually need it, to be perfectly honest. I probably should have gone with like damage instead. And then increased experience and alternate history for extra experience. Essentially what we did, or what I did, was I set up a 4-slot weapon. I got this onto it. And then I did an augmentation transfer of a weapon that had increased experience 3 and alternate history on it. And then used a grand capsule during the transfer itself, pick those 3. And then of course this is already kept on here because it's not counted in the augmentation transfer. Bam, 4 slots, nice and comfy. Only cost 5 augmentation transfer passes. Very, very economical way of using them. I wouldn't recommend using them on weapons for anything else, literally just this, and that's it. Moving on to units. Now, I do have a slight regret when it comes to my units. I would have honestly liked, I didn't realize we were gonna have a boost week. I would have liked to change this up a little bit, but what I'm using my units right now are just a 6-slot setup. I went with Allies, Might, Grace, Sentence, and Persona. Personally, I'd love to swap out Persona for something like Varuna. Varuna Glare, definitely a better choice in the situation itself, fairly easy to get a hold of. X-Ally Soul isn't bad, also the option of X-Active Soul, which would be a little bit more damage, but a little bit less HP, and I don't really want to drop that much more HP, to be perfectly honest. Dropping 30 HP across the board wouldn't be too terribly bad. I'd still be at 1400 on my soaring blades, so I think I'd fall... less HP on this? Yeah, I do. So I'd fall below 1400 on my other weapons, so I wouldn't really like that too terribly much. But I mean, of course, Etoile main, meaning you take less damage overall, so it's not too terribly bad. But a lot of content can chunk you down, especially if you do solo divide like I do, so gotta be careful. And that's pretty much the same across the board. Again, if I was redoing this, I would probably switch this for Might 6 because it's now easier to get Might 6 SAF. Might 5 SAF is novel. Might 6 SAF would be Rivalate, which is just the back unit itself, get it to +10, and then bam, Might 6 SAF, very, very nice. And again, switching out Persona Reverie for something like Varuna Glare instead, very, very useful. Skillful Adept Skillful Adept is my S6. Fortified Melee is my S7. I'd love to have Fortified Melee too, but I don't. Work what we got. And then it's got End Support as the S8. I've had this for a while, but everyone should be able to get a hold of it now that it is in the limited Recycle Batch shop. So pretty simple there. My ring choices, I went with Atomizer Fanatic, of course, for healing myself and other people. 5 heals is most of the time all I need in a quest, unless I'm doing a bunch of divide. In that case, I might need a little bit more. Surefire Connect for the only time I will ever use Full Connect, because the Full Connect combo is a trap. Video to come about that later as well. But precast Full Connects are really, really nice. So Surefire Connect ring, really nice there. Some people opt to not use this on their unit and swap the ring out with the Mag Excite ring for when they need it with just ring shortcuts. I personally just like having it on my unit and be done with it. Leaping Dodge is really, really nice. Leaping Dodge gives you a huge jump into the air, then you can also double jump off of. It's got a 3-second cooldown, I believe, on it at level 20 on the ring, and it has invulnerability frames. It makes, getting to certain situations, certain places for placement really, really easy, and it's actually just really convenient. I'm surprised I didn't use this at all on JP. It was very useful. Mag Excite, don't sleep on Mag Excite. It increases the damage and it increases the frequency and the power of the auto actions and Mag SP auto actions. So it just makes your mag better, does more damage, does its abilities more often. Don't sleep on this ring, it's super nice. And of course, it's got power as its ring stat, which is why I like it in my actual slot on my ring. And then crit strike's pretty standard. I don't really need crit strike, the all-around ring. Just the melee one would have been fine, but I happen to have all of them anyway, so I just made the all-around ring. At +1, this has its full full power, but increasing to +20 does absolutely nothing. Just waste some grinders. I just didn't want us to get a +1, so I put it at +20. Don't really have to do anything there. And of course, you can level it up however you'd like. When it comes to the mag sight ring, I went with just +20 power because that's how I use mine. I think that covers all of the weapons and the units. That actually should cover everything. Anyway, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to toss them in the comments below. A like on the video is much appreciated and absolves your half for ad block guilt. The other half is absolved by subscribing. Both are completely free and they do help me out a ton. If you guys want to keep up with the videos as they go live or community posts as I post them over on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you click on the bell icon to be notified of those. Or if you want to keep up with us over on Discord or follow me over on Twitter, I post everything in those two locations as well and just generally interact with you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Peace out.